Morning.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Sorry. I go get a tea. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
That's good. I was just testing to make sure that you can. Okay, I'll go get a glass of water and we'll see you in a few minutes.
All right.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, good to see you. All right, so let me start the videos.
All right.
All right, so thanks. Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you are joining us. This is the Commonwealth Business Women Network in Kenya's weekly webinars, hosted every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. We're very delighted that you could join us. So let us start off with a short word of prayer. Let's bow our heads. Our dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this day. We want to thank you that we are here. We want to thank you for your promises to be with us at all times. And we thank you again for this beautiful day. We ask you for your presence, for your guidance and your blessings as we start our session. Inspire our thoughts, inspire our discussions and all our ideas as we seek to grow and flourish in our businesses and also in our personal lives. And we pray all this trusting and believing in Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Well, welcome everyone from wherever you're joining us. If you're joining us on Zoom, joining us on Facebook, if this is your first time, and if this is not your first time, you're always here with us, welcome, welcome, welcome. As I mentioned, these are our weekly webinars that we host every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And what we usually do is that we choose topics and subjects according to the training needs of our members. And this week, we are going to be discussing the value of integrity and honesty in all our endeavors. I'm sure these are terms that we are all familiar with. We hear about it. We hear integrity equates being accountable, being trustworthy, being honest. And today, our speaker is going to tell us more about that. We're going to discuss what really is integrity and honesty, not just in our businesses, but also in our daily lives. And when you hear people say that, oh, this particular person is a person of high integrity and high, moral values or honesty, what exactly is that person about? And how important is integrity and honesty? So we are going to hear a lot more about that in our discussion. As mentioned, this is hosted by the Commonwealth Business Women Network in Kenya. And to tell us a little bit about the organization and also to give us the welcome remarks, I would like to welcome our chairperson, who is also the Commonwealth Business Women Network International Chief Operation Officer. And this is none other than Nana Wenjao. Nana, karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's always such a pleasure to be here, week after week, 365 days in a year. I mean, this is truly, truly commitment. I hope you can hear me well. Let me use my... How is that, Susan? Hello, Susan. Can you hear me? Maybe not. Susan, can you hear me? Or anybody?
I can hear you very well.
Nana, this is much better than the earlier one. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rose. So indeed,
Yes,
I echo Susan's sentiments of welcoming everybody here on Zoom, more on Facebook Live,
to Commonwealth Business Women Network Kenya, where we welcome you by saying Karibu Sana. Karibu, and we say Jambo wherever you are today. As usual, we continue to encourage each other to keep social distancing. Let's keep wearing those masks and washing our hands frequently. This Wednesday weekly program is our favorite space to be. This is a space where we come to be nourished, to be educated, to be reminded, to be challenged, and even provoked. So it's really our favorite space to be. Let me start by talking about Commonwealth Business Women Network Kenya. Who are we? We are a ground partner of Commonwealth Business Women Network, CBWN. CBWN was originally established by the Commonwealth Secretariat and the Commonwealth Business Council in 2002. CBWN is now an accredited organization and community interest company directly recognized by 54 governments across 6 continents. We are committed to advancing the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 5 and the Commonwealth Charter. CBWN, we are focused on encouraging, enabling, and embedding women in leadership and women's economic empowerment through what we call our 3 T's of talent, training, and trade. So indeed, we do have a mandate. We have a mandate to network the Kenyan business women with the 1 billion women that are in the Commonwealth platform to connect, collaborate, and do commerce. And we are doing this so ably. You may have seen or participated in some of our recent programs. The most recent being we had a business pitch program between Lesotho, Rwanda, and Kenya, where the business women from these countries got together in front of business coaches, mentors, financiers, and pitched their businesses. The most exciting thing about that is some of those business owners left with partnerships, with financials saying, let's take this to the next level. And that's really what we want to do for our business women in Kenya. Again, you may have participated in some of the virtual forums we've hosted, trade forums between Kenya and UK, Kenya and Nigeria, Kenya and Rwanda, and so on. We continue to do that. In December, we hosted the first ever developed virtual e-market platform, developed by women, for women, to serve women and youth. We had over 1,000 exhibitors and visitors on that platform from 7 different Commonwealth countries. Today, I want you to look out for the Commonwealth e-market platform that will open on 21st of April to serve the business women and youth for, as I said, encouraging them to network, to trade beyond our local borders, to trade beyond the continent, to trade beyond the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth e-marketplace is going to run through the inaugural Commonwealth Women Entrepreneurs Summit that has been moved to May 19th and 20th. The Commonwealth e-marketplace will continue to run through CHOGM, which is the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting hosted by President Kagame in Rwanda. So you really want to participate on this e-market platform and trade with the rest of the world. For more information about those details and more, you will find them on our website, www.cbwnkenya.org. Just to wrap it up, don't forget about the Tech for Girls app development competition coming up. Commonwealth Business Women Network in partnership with GSMA. It will start on April 22nd of this year. Girls aged between 12 and 16 will be participating. Our film night is next week, Wednesday at 5 p.m. You can see there is so much more. Why do we create platforms for women, Commonwealth business women, to connect, collaborate, and do commerce? It's because it costs us 20% less to trade between Commonwealth country and Commonwealth country. If you trade Commonwealth country with non-Commonwealth country, you pay the cost 20% more. And that's something you can take to the bank. So we are very excited about connecting women, strengthening our mission, building businesses, and advancing women. With those few remarks, I would like to hand this back to Susan and the team, and thank Susan and the team for putting this together. I love this topic. Dr. Patricia Mutunga, I am pen and paper ready to soak in all the information, and I know I speak for many other business women that are watching today and who will even watch after today. The value of integrity and honesty in all endeavors. This topic is truly timely, especially as we begin to trade beyond our local borders. Susan, I would like to hand this back to you, and thank you so much for making this happen.
All right. Thank you so much, Nana, for those remarks, and also for the invitation to all the events that we are hosting. And as we continue with the program, we will continue to remind you about all those events that we have coming up, and most of them are actually next week. My apologies, my network was a bit unstable, so I went off a little bit, but now I'm back. So moving on with our program, I would like to invite another member of the Programs and Committee in the Commonwealth Business, the Programs and Trainings Committee in the Commonwealth Business Women Network in Kenya. And she's going to introduce us to our guest this afternoon and also officially welcome her to start the presentation. So karibu sana Rose Nginja.
Thank you very much, Susan. Once again, just a word of welcome to everyone who's joined us today. And it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Patricia Bithe Mutunga. Today's speaker, her life spans across academic, scientific management, and senior leadership roles in health-related fields. Her academic and scientific work is evidenced by published papers in referred journals and giving talks and presentations in various international meetings. She has been coach and mentor to various people in different disciplines, and also an influential speaker on a wide basis in academic and non-academic organizations, such as Forward Ladies UK, an organization whose mission is to empower women and whose mission is to empower women and organizations to close the gender gap in business. Her talks generally to help advance women careers in various sectors. She's very passionate about supporting women and especially ethnic minorities in career development. She supports organizations that champion and advocate for increased female entrepreneurship, leadership, and empowerment. She's also involved in education reforms as part of her cohesive approach to developing the multi-professional team and engaging with key internal and external stakeholders to contribute to significantly improving and modernizing healthcare education in one of the three editors. These are Introduction to Stem Cell Transplantation Science, a postgraduate course offered to biomedical sciences who want to pursue a career in stem cell transplantation. Dr. Mbithe's undergraduate degree was in vet medicine and was followed by an MSc. She was a lecturer at the University of Nairobi before joining University of Edinburgh, where she did a PhD in immunology. After that, she has worked as a project coordinator with the Department of International Development, that is DFID, for a link project between University of Edinburgh and University of Nairobi, where she looked at sustainable methods to promote women's health in rural areas of Kenya. Dr. Mbithe has gained valuable expertise in writing proposals, applying for and securing funding, and has been successful in getting funding for 3 years from DFID UK for various projects. She joined University of Newcastle Medical School, where she has worked on 2 projects. First one, looking at role of endothelial cells in intensive care patients with septic shock. And the second one was to investigate Salmonella vaccine development. All her works are published in several papers and referred to in journals, and also presented in various international meetings. Dr. Mbithe joined the NHS in 2002 as a section head, and her career pathway to her current role has been shaped by her time within the organization. In 2012, she was selected for one of the senior leaders for senior leaders programs within the NHS Leadership Academy, the Elizabeth Garrett Anderson program, and graduated with the prestigious Elizabeth Garrett Anderson Leadership MSc and Leading Care Award program is designed to build on and develop knowledge, skills, behaviors, and competencies to create a culture of compassion, innovation, and purpose, and very highest levels of the NHS and healthcare sector, where NHS is the national, Dr. Mbithe, you'll pick up on that, National Hospital. You'll pick up on that.
National Health Service.
Yep, National Health Service.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying to our listeners today, our participants today, is that we have a lady of great knowledge with a highly scientific background, as you've seen us go through. And look at the subject that she's going to take us through. According to her, and this is what I'm sure she's going to portray to us, it is all about integrity. That is what she has respected, that is a value she has respected and has gotten her to where she is. And with that, I welcome you, Dr. Mbithe. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Take the floor, it's yours.
Oh, thank you very much for that introduction, really. And it's a pleasure for me to be here today. Obviously, you've said a lot about me in that introduction, and thank you very much. And for those listening on Facebook and those listening on Zoom, and just thank you for attending this meeting. So without further ado, I'm going to try to share my screen. I've got my cup of tea here. I don't know whether anybody else has theirs. So Is it possible to share my screen?
Yes, yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can anybody see that?
Yes. Yeah, you can switch to the presentation mode, I think.
Yeah, I'll do slideshow. Yeah, is that okay?
Excellent, yes.
Okay, so once again, welcome everybody. And just to start with, we are on this journey together. I do not say I have reached the end of having integrity and honesty. We are all on a journey to try and be better people as we develop in whatever aspects of life we are in. But values of integrity and honesty really is one of the things you can share in all professions. And just to start, so I'll just give you a bit of a summary of what my talk will be on. So I've got a lot of slides, but don't worry about that. They'll go quickly, I hope. And also, at the end of this, you can be posting comments, you can be questions, and I'm sure Mukami will probably ask me these questions at the end. I think that's the format we have. Yeah, so summary of my talk. What I'm going to talk about is, look, what is integrity and what is honesty? I mean, we know these things, but sometimes it's good to be reminded. There are times when I think I know something and then I go back and read about it and think, oh, I didn't know that. And then also take a step back and look at really what factors, what is the recipe for integrity and honesty? What factors really influence these two big things? And some of these I'll just mention now here. It's things like personal values. What are your values? And also knowing yourself, and confidence really plays a key factor in this field. So, and why are these two important? Why is integrity and honesty important really in our lives? Do we need them in our lives? And as part of this talk, I also use a case study of a little girl to showcase that bettering ourselves is a lifelong journey. It never stops. So even after this talk, I mean, this is just a tiny bit of the journey. It's just to sort of share together, look at things we can do better. So what is integrity? I mean, there are so many on Google. You can find meanings of integrity, honesty. I chose this one because I thought it was quite a good one. So integrity is a firm adherence to a code of moral values. So not moral values there. The quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. So you cannot separate integrity from honesty. Again, honesty is being truthful, being sincere, being frank, upright, and fair. Freedom from deceit or fraud can be called honest. That's a honest person, basing things on facts. So basically, do not lie. So these two are interlinked, and not just the two. There are so many other factors which feed into these two words, into integrity and being honest. And I think I've got a word cloud, just that word cloud for integrity. You can see how many other things interlink with this, because you can't take one thing in isolation. You have to use them in combination. I mean, you can look at moral is part of it, reliability is there, virtue, ideology, faith, competency, morality. So they all sort of work together. If you go to being honest or honesty, there is trust there, there is reliability, there is rules, being respectable, education. being trustworthy. So you can't take one of these in isolation. You have to take it as part of a bigger picture. So what factors really influence integrity and honesty? So I've already mentioned values and beliefs. So the two main things I'm going to look at here, because unless we have a whole week, we can't really look at a lot more than these. So these two things is our values and beliefs, because what we value is influenced by what we believe in. The other thing that really affects how people behave is how we see ourselves and the impact of how the world sees us. And this is what we call self-perception or confidence, because if you know yourself, you will behave more in a more honesty manner. There's a saying that says, you can't practice honesty unless you're honest about yourself. And I think charity begins at home. You have to know yourself and be honest with yourself about yourself. And you need to know yourself to do that. So we said values. So what are values? There are a lot of definitions about these, but these are sort of, it's like what, in essence, what do I treasure? What is good or bad? What is desirable or undesirable in ourselves and others? These are moral principles which are based on beliefs. They can be based on faith. For those of us who are Christians, these are based on our Christian ethos. They drive our behavior and interactions with others. So our values, so qualities, characteristics, or ideas which we feel strongly about. And I am sure if I asked every one of you, what is your value? You would give me something. I mean, we were talking about this last week or 2 weeks ago in our church, one of our church house group meetings. And our topic was on vision. And the person who was leading the study said, you cannot be visionary unless you've got values. And she threw this question at us on a Zoom meeting. What are your values? Can you name one of your values? And it was really interesting to hear everybody come up with what they consider is a value, something they really value. And when I was asked, I was like, oh, okay, I said, oh, caring, because first of all, caring is one of our core values at work. So, but I've always thought I've got a caring value in me. And it reminded me of a long time ago when I was in Edinburgh University. So some of people there used to call me Amnesty International, because I was always ready to welcome, especially the international students, to our home for chapati, nyama choma, not nyama choma as such, because here it rains all the time, meat, ugali, fish. So, and those were really good days. So caring doesn't mean you're doing big things, it's just small things. And that came to mind when we were talking about that. And I'm sure if I asked each one of you what's your value, you will all give me something that you feel in your heart is a great value you have. So our values affect our decisions and how we act, because obviously if your value is caring, and you find somebody who has fallen down in the street, I'm sure you're not going to just pass without helping that person. Again, that what came to mind about one time we were in Newcastle, and it was a very rainy December day, when those days when the wind is so strong and it's raining, and you just want to curl under a blanket and stay warm. And I got out of the house and I was driving somewhere, and in a bus stop not far from where we lived, there was very elderly lady, just wrapped up in a coat, looking really miserable on that rainy day. And something in me, something you don't do in these countries, you don't really give lift to strangers because it's just not done. I mean, you can be in trouble, they can be in trouble, it can be either way. But I stopped and asked this lady, where are you going? And she said I was supposed to go to the hairdressers and I was supposed to meet my daughter there. She was like 80, she wasn't a young person. And I just asked her, do you want me to give you a lift? And she jumped in the car. And I said, that's fine, where are you going? And I took her to the hairdressers. I mean, later on I was saying it's not something I would jump to do that easily here just because of the regulations and the rules. But something drove me to do that deed on that day. So values define what is worth or beneficial, and they guide our actions. So like that day, I was guided by just the value of caring for somebody. And just to recap, so where do we get our values from? Because our values develop as we grow. From a young age, you get from education, maybe from your parents, from school, our faith, from friends, media, because there's a lot now we are getting from media, from social groups, Facebook, videos, watching things on YouTube. And we also get our values from corporations. Like I said, I work for the NHS, and our core values are caring, expert, quality. That's what we proclaim our values are, and we have to adhere to those values. Again, our values are both the ones we are talking about here, integrity and honesty, they are linked. Because the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles build what is integrity, really. And moral principles like values, they can sometimes vary from person to person, like I've just been saying. And integrity is as a result of one's values and moral principles. So what are your values? You can share comments if you want on Facebook, or I'm sure there's a comment page somewhere. Just something to think about. What are your values? Okay, so I said integrity is impacted by values. And the second thing it's affected by is self-perception. How we see ourselves really impacts our ability to be honest and to have integrity. So knowing your authentic self. I've got a book which my daughter bought for me a few years back, which I don't put down because it's all about finding your authentic self. And it's got like a reading for every day of the year. And every time I read it year after year, it talks to me in a different way. And it's a journey because you can never really fully find your authentic self. It's a journey I'm going through, and we are all going through. And it's the same with having honesty and integrity. You never get there, but it's something you have to keep doing on a daily basis, reminding yourself. And you have to be comfortable with who you are to have honesty and integrity. And I'll show a few examples as we go along. So who are you, or who do you think you are? Because these are two different things. So self-perception, obviously, is how we see ourselves. And this is about what are our internal roadblocks that tell us we are something else, or we are this, or we are that. And sometimes we can identify things which actually limit us. So this could be some beliefs. You may believe I'm not good enough. So these are called limiting self. Again, what we believe about ourselves sometimes is because of what others tell us. You can believe you are this person, not because deep down you know you're that person, but that's what society tells you you are. And this can be because of social, cultural norms. And these are actually the most influential to what people identify themselves as. And it can be quite dangerous. I mean, you hear of children who are born, and from the minute they were born, they are being told they are not good. You are not good, you can't do this, you can't do that, or you are stupid, you can't learn. And these things impact how that person sees themselves. And these impact them in practicing honesty, being honest, and having integrity. So it is important to know about self-perception. And it's the harm we do ourselves by belittling ourselves. That spelling of belittling, I don't think it's a word in English, but I used it anyway. And there are four main things we can do to harm ourselves. And sometimes it's called shrinking to fit. And there's a book we are currently doing in our Bible study about women in leadership, and how God helps us as women to be great leaders. And one of the things, these four things are mentioned in that book. One is shrinking to fit, and I'll just explain a bit of that. And also confidence deficit, when you lack confidence. Sometimes it's striving for perfection, because you're so scared of failing in something, because it's not going to be perfect, you don't try. And then there's also false humility, which I also explain. So shrinking to fit is when we underestimate ourselves, or we fail to recognize that we actually have gifts and talents. And this prevents you from being your authentic self, and this prevents you from having integrity, because you're not being honest with yourself. And sometimes we are inhibited from this because of fear of failure. Do we keep quiet when we should say something? I've heard women say, do we let our men talk for us even when we know we have a better idea? And do we feel that if we fail, it will reflect badly on us? So I'm not going to try something because I'm going to fail. No, we should try, because if we fail, we learn, we use that as a lesson learned, and we will rise again. And I like this quote from Nelson Mandela, which said, the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. And I think that's it. That's the challenge. Every time you fall, get up, dust yourself, and carry on. And then there's the second thing, which is about self-perception, is about confidence deficit. And do we say, I can't possibly do that, instead of, I can do it? And this is called limiting self. So we have to get out of comfort zone, and I'm sure these are words, buzzwords you've heard before, because this is the only way to grow. Because you keep falling, you rise up again. You take a step, you take two steps, you take one step back, you've still taken one step ahead. And before you know it, you've taken 10 steps. And our confidence has to do with our faith and belief. And I like this saying by Mary Kay. Some of you will know Mary Kay. She makes some products, beauty products in America. And it says, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you are right. So it's what you think about yourself, and it's better to try. So when you have confidence, you tend to be yourself. And when you're yourself, you are true to self. And if you are honest with yourself, you tend to be honest with other people. So confidence really plays a key role in being authentic. Confidence deficit. Sorry, did I go back? Yeah. I think I went back. So the other thing I mentioned was striving for perfection. So things may make you never want to try new things because you're fearing to fail. Because we believe we are flawed, we overcompensate sometimes. So I know I've been there, done that. There are times when I've said, oh, I couldn't possibly do that. And I remember one time even saying to somebody, I can't apply for that job. There's no way I would get that job. And my husband told me, why not? So sometimes it's family who, if he had not said that, I would have thought, oh, yeah, that's true, I can't get that job. But he encouraged me to do it, and I got the job. And sometimes it's that we are so scared of going to the unknown. And this brings me to false humility. And I'm not saying, yeah, we have to be, humility is part of integrity. So I'm not talking about us being proud. I'm talking about the false humility. When people downplay their strengths and their achievements, again, I've been there, and sorry about that spelling, that sentence. I've been there and done that, where you just downplay your strengths and achievements and have this false identity of a person who has not achieved anything. I've asked myself this a lot of times when I give talks. Does society expect less from women and expect men to excel? And I know you, as a women business group, I'm sure, and I thank you for the men who are attending this talk, by the way, it's great. And I know there's a lot out there about women excelling, and we are living at great times when women actually are allowed to really be themselves and excel in all sorts of areas. So self-perception is the atmosphere in which we conduct our leadership development, and no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I saw that statement once in a book, and I was like, that can't be true. And then when you think further and further about it, is that when people make you feel inferior, it's because you've actually given them permission to make you feel that way. It makes very uncomfortable thinking that, but the more I looked at it, the more I thought, that's true. And the times when I feel like I'm being intimidated by somebody, I always have to have this self-talk with myself and say, yeah, you allowed that person to make you feel that way. Just something to think about. So I believe events, chance encounters, and I believe God's hand in our life shape us. When you have low confidence, doubts about yourself, you don't need someone else to affirm these things. What you need is someone to tell you the opposite. And that's where we come in to build others up, to build each other up, to elevate others, not to bring them down, because otherwise you always feel like our good is not good enough. And again, we tend to concentrate on what we are not, not what we are, because what we are is what we are, and we can build on that to become the best we can be. So a reflection of what we have been made to believe about ourselves is sometimes a good thing to start with in this journey to become a honest and person with integrity. So honesty and integrity, they are interlinked, but with many other factors, as we saw in those word clouds, and they cannot be taken in isolation. For example, you cannot be honest and have integrity and then still be a gossip or lazy. Oh no, that's it. You can't take them in isolation and say, I'm honest, I've got integrity. So just to recap, honesty, integrity, and visions are influenced by values, self-perception, and the environment we live in. The key to acting with honesty and integrity is to understand what your personal values are. By being true to your values, that's the beginning of your honesty journey. So there are 8 simple things which I'm sure some of you have seen them, which just to remember about incorporating honesty and integrity into your life. You've heard people saying, keep your word and let your yes be a yes and a no be a no. Keep your commitments, pay attention to your environment, Be organized, stay focused, avoid distractions, concentrate on the job at hand. Surround yourself with honest people. This allows integrity to permeate the air you're in, and take responsibility because everyone makes mistakes. I'm sorry, I got that wrong should be our mantra. And it can be the most powerful words you speak in any given day. But it's only if you can back them up with actions. And above all, respect everyone. And remember to keep trying because no one is looking for perfection. Just keep trying. So again, integrity is lack of corruption. If you have integrity, those who follow, they can go over a cliff for you. Those people who follow you can go over a cliff for you because they believe in you. They believe in what you say. And they can put their lives on the line for you. Again, integrity can be a matter of life and death. I work, and I know somebody who is on this call works in health as well, Margaret, my friend. And it's one place that you have to rely on what people are telling you is true. Or even think of an army commander who people look up at this person to direct them, medical teams. Indeed, if the world was ruled by people with integrity, it would be a much better place. So building trust requires nothing else but telling the truth. And so I'm just going to go through this case study of this little girl. And through the turns and the twists of this case study, I hope you just catch a glimpse of how, especially values developed during the journey of this little girl. Because you may be honest, full of integrity, but your environment, the culture, and those around you can make this unachievable. They can change you. Sorry, I've gone back again. So this is a story of a girl at 8 years old. She was asked, what do you want to go when you grow up? And she said, I want to be a vet. She grew up in a farm. Father was a farmer, a strong businessman. He ran a shop. Mom was a housewife. She was also always fascinated by animals because they had like beef animals. She remembers they used to send these beef animals to KMC. It was a long time ago when there was KMC for slaughter. But there was an issue with this because she was a girl and she had no one to emulate really. And those days, girls did not become vets. So she attended a Catholic school after standard 7, and this Catholic school had very strict rules by nuns. So on the surface, it looked like these were very good girls, very behaved girls with good values. But deep down, this girl felt the values included dishonesty, lying, lack of integrity, really, because the school was ruled by fear. It was governed by fear. So they obeyed so long as no one caught them. If no one is looking, they're fine. But if they break the rules and nobody catches you, then it's okay. And that's the wrong thinking. People should be good and be honest, not because somebody will find out, but because it's the right thing to do. And there's this book which says, always start with the why. And it's one of the mantras about leadership is to always start by telling people why. Because if you don't tell people why, then they don't know why they're doing something. So people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. And that's the book by somebody called Simon Sinek, which I've got a copy again from my daughter. And this really helped me, especially when I was doing my leadership course. I used to read it all the time. And it made me think about a child who is, you can keep telling a child, don't touch the fire. And the child may just, I'll touch the fire anyway. But if you tell a child that fire will burn your hand, you may end up being in hospital in a lot of pain. You may not be able to go and play outside with your friends for a long time. It may even end up making you lose your hand. You know, you've told that child why it is wrong to touch the fire. You find that child is actually will want to do the right thing because they know why. I mean, that's a simplistic way of putting it. So, what if my best isn't good enough? So the story of this little girl, so she wanted to be a vet, remember? And then she had this, she went to this school where the values were a bit wishy-washy, and her values over the 4 years changed to fit in with her peers because that's the environment she was in. And also she thought she wasn't really good enough. And then until one time, Sister Anne, so this is the story of Sister Anne, who was a Sisters of Mercy Nun in this school. And she saw this little girl, by this time, she decided, I don't want to be a vet. And she wanted to go and just do something really. And until Sister Anne asked her and intervened, because Sister Anne believed in this girl, but her values had been so changed during the 4 years she had been there that she thought she wasn't good enough. And Sister Anne came along and said, I believe in you. Are you not going to do Endeavours and go to university? And that basically changed this girl's way of thinking. And it was a big turning point. And the story of Sister Anne is basically that she believed in this girl and changed her. And she insisted, she applied for one of the top schools in the country and she got it. I mean, to cut a long story short, she got in. And just the lesson learned here is never really doubt yourself, even others do. But the main thing is that the environment this girl found herself in impacted her integrity and her honesty. So she saw herself as somebody she wasn't. And the right environment really results in positive energy because, I mean, when this girl got into this top school, her values completely changed because this school had girls whose values were completely the other way around. They were ambitious, they were focused, they were driven students. But they were also respectable, they respect the integrity. And I remember, and I've told this to a few people, going to this school, and the first thing that shocked me on a day when we are walking about is students bending down to pick pieces of paper if they find litter on the path. And nobody's looking, nobody's watching, there's no teacher watching. But they would bend down, pick rubbish, and go put it in a bin. While I'd come to a school which was the opposite, unless a nun shouted at you to pick trash, you wouldn't do it. So I'm just showing you different values because of different environment, which meant the values impacted this person's integrity and honesty. And the moral value of these stories, this is applicable in our daily lives now. In whatever profession you are in, this is the world we live in. If you've got those values in yourself, you don't need somebody else to come and tell you to do good. You will want to do good for the benefit of other people. So back to the girl. So she's a woman. She graduated. She became a mom. Got to a point where she was juggling, working, studying, parenthood. 9 years later, so sort of lack of direction, eventually started networking, applied to study in the UK, and the rest is history. So this girl, with the value of this story is, it never stops, because when you you have one success, you may think, okay, that's it, I've finished. But it's a never-ending journey. So you have to keep reinventing yourself, because and during these 9 years, I mean, life went on, and there's nothing wrong with that, because we all make choices. It's just to make sure that you make the choices which are right for you. This wouldn't have been the right journey for somebody else. So the lesson is a lifelong journey with highs and lows, and that is okay. And just to cut a long story short, eventually, even after she finished her PhD, there were times when you were at crossroads. She was at crossroads, and which way do I go? And it's the fear of the unknown. Which way am I supposed to be going? There's no right or wrong answer here. The right answer is make a move to one. Because sometimes when standing still is worse than moving. And at every fork, what keeps you here? How much is it costing you? Is it worth it? You can take one direction, but if it's the right direction for you, then there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just repeating the story of one journey. So one good thing, and it's taking stock of yourself, and this applies to everybody. Where am I? Do I want to stay here? Do I want to go? How do I get there? And being true to yourself, that's the crucial thing. Being honest, having integrity is the one thing which will influence all these questions. Because so the 5 mistakes to make, and this is very important when you are having integrity and honesty as core values, is avoiding responsibility or procrastination, because sometimes we say, I'll do that tomorrow. Sometimes following trends, especially now in the world of media. Great things are not accomplished by those who yield to trends and fads and popular opinion. And this, I find, is particularly very important when it comes to honesty and integrity, because sometimes we are getting to in social media where people perpetuate lies and dishonesty, and people can start talking lies about people, and because it's what everybody is doing, we join in. And those are the times we have to stand tall. And even if you are the only person, you have to say it's the wrong thing. One person has to make it right. And that's why it's good to try and not follow trends. Again, try not to do it alone. Life is not a solo act, it's a huge collaboration. And that's why, like, this group is a great network for women and for men as well to join up and support each other. So it's always a great thing. And it's a big mistake when people try to go it alone. It should always be come with other people. So what did the girl learn? And how is that even important in this talk today? So this girl tried to think broadly and be prepared to learn and change. And the environment helped her develop into whatever person she became eventually. Working and learning effectively with others, but also trying to think independently was important. And also taking responsibility for developing self. So it's a journey. Whichever journey one takes, always keep going and keep trying, because that's a journey. So that when the goal looks far away, you break things into manageable bite-sized chunks, and then these ones are manageable. So, impact on yourself and others. So there is this saying, which I'm sure some of you have heard of it, which says, there exists for everyone a sentence, a series of words that has the power to destroy you. Another sentence exists, another series of words that could heal you. If you are lucky, you will get the second, but you can be sure that you get the first. So the first is where people say something to hurt you. And that's one of the things, because when people get hurt, then they feel like they are worthless, and they can feel like their integrity and their honesty are compromised, because if you feel your integrity and honesty are compromised because somebody else has said you're worthless, then ask yourself, who am I? And just take stock of yourself and go back and do reset. There are times when I just think you have to reset yourself and just start from basics. And we all know that women's strengths are immeasurable. They're the best in crisis management. They're the best in problem solving. Sorry, the men who are here, I'm not, but I'm just saying women can be very good in crisis management and problem solving and collaborative working. I remember when I was growing up, the women groups in the villages, they bring others along with them. I remember women groups, just what they would do. And I know there's a lot of this going on in Kenya. We've got a network of friends here. And sometimes they're the best strategic leaders, but sometimes they put themselves down. So just to conclude, so I did not come here to give answers, but it's more like to disrupt your thinking. And disrupt your thinking, and this in a way may be able to influence you one tiny bit on your lifelong journey to find your authentic self and to be a honest person and to have integrity. Because if you find your authentic self and you've got that confidence in yourself, honesty follows. And when you are honest with yourself, you'll be honest with others, and you'll have that integrity. I found this saying a long time ago, and I've used it in a few presentations, which says, do not dim your light to please others. If it is too bright, ask them to put on shades. It's just something that makes me laugh, but it's got so much truth in it, because sometimes we dim our light because others tell us to. So this girl's one regret was that she lost touch with Sister Anne, and she's still searching for Sister Anne. So just to conclude, commit to integrity and honesty by adjusting your self-talk. Speak the truth about yourself to yourself. Nelson Mandela again said, those who conduct themselves with morality, integrity, and consistency need not fear the forces of inhumanity and cruelty. And you all know where Nelson Mandela came from. And if he wasn't a man of integrity and morality, he would have been a broken man. And he would have been somebody who would not have risen up again and continued. Thank you for your time. God bless you, and go be your authentic self and have integrity and honesty. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mpite, for that very, very powerful presentation. I'm just going back and forth with all the things that you've mentioned. And as Nana actually said as we started, that this is very, very timely. Because I was just thinking, like we live in a time where people always say the end justifies the means.
In fact, Susan, I want to encourage you to buy shades for those who may think you are too bright.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, is it too bright? Sorry about that. Wow. Yeah, we'll do something with the lighting.
Okay, I hope it wasn't too fast or too many slides. So thank you very much.
It wasn't, because I was just thinking about we live in a time where people always say the end justifies the means. And sometimes you see, we look at people who have really succeeded and maybe they use shortcuts. Morality is, you question the morality, you question the values, you question the integrity. And I think we see it every day, like an example of a salesperson. They kind of always overpromise but underdeliver. Lies come in, but in the end, they always justify that, we did what we had to. So it's good that you've mentioned, you've repeated the fact that having integrity and honesty, those type of values, like no matter what you do, no matter what shortcuts you take, in the end, those are the critical values or things to look at.
Yeah, I've seen of people over-promising just because, or people telling people things because it's what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And actually the value of that beats the because sometimes we think I'll tell the person what they want to hear, not tell them the truth, but actually it's kinder to tell people the truth. That's what we forget. Even if the truth is not good, it's kinder to tell people the truth than to hide it from them. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very true, very true. I have a comment from Margaret, who's joined us on Zoom. And as she also agrees, this was an excellent presentation. So how does one maintain their values when they're surrounded in an environment where those values are not practiced?
Can I just add something even before you go on? Because I have a related, is it a question or comment? I don't even know how to put it. It's all about the environment in which we are. And for me, there are two main challenges in relation to integrity and honesty. One is that there's so much corruption around us, it has become a way of life. But whether you like it or not, you're almost neck deep inside it. And then two is just the pressure around us as well. And also due to corruption. In our homes, for example, you find we have the Kenya Power and Lighting people. We've got maybe Nairobi Water. They're here to disconnect your water. Either you forgot to pay or they're just being, irrational about it. And it's very easy to just tell them, gosh, just give me a moment, I'm going to pay it for the time being. Here is 100 bob or 200 bob, So for me, those are the two main challenges. Yeah, it's all around us and we have to live in it. So with that, really, Patricia, I would like to hear your response to what Susan has asked as well.
Thank you, Ross, and thank you, Margaret, for your comments. And like I said, I'm not here to give answers, but to disrupt your thinking and for us to maybe look for ways of doing this. I know, like the corruption bit is, and you live in that environment, you get consumed by that environment. That's what happens. You get consumed by that environment because you are in it and you can't twist. And I know what I'm talking from a personal perspective, that sometimes we work in organizations where they may look fine on the surface, but deep down there's a lot of other things. It may not be overt corruption where somebody is actually giving somebody else money. Actually, there is another worse kind of corruption, worse than that. And this happens in developed countries where people are not literally bribing other people, but they've got their own cliques because they drink together after work. And so you find they've got their buddies and they can turn around and punish somebody else while they won't punish that one. And you are seeing these, you may be seeing this yourself and thinking, this is very wrong. And as a person, you can really struggle to change this because some of these things need to be, is a root cause. That's what we have to look at, because if you try to solve what's on the surface, you're not really solving the problem because you're not solving the root cause. And I think that's the fundamental truth about some of the issues we are facing, is the root cause. We have to get to the root. Why do we have so much corruption? Why do we feel that we are being pushed into a corner? And that's when we have to come up as a collective, because as one voice, nobody's going to really listen to you. And a group like these, I mean, this what you are, or you ladies and members of this group, you can be a powerful voice which can try and change things. It may take a generation, it may not happen in your generation, but we can't give up. We've got to do something about it. And somebody has to start somewhere and say, okay, we're going to change these. Short, quick fixes won't work. In some of these things which are so deep-rooted, if you're looking for a quick fix will not work. So, and that's why we have to look at strategically look at what's the medium, what's the short-term thing we can do now? What's the medium-term thing we can do now? What's the long-term thing we can do now? And break it into small chunks, because if you look at the whole thing as a whole, you just get overwhelmed. I know what you're talking about, corruption, because I remember being stopped a long time ago on Mombasa Road by the police, and they said I was speeding, and I was not speeding. Oh, no, they didn't say I was. They said I overtook a convoy. I don't know what that means even, but they booked me, and I was told to go to is it Mariakane? There used to be somewhere you used to go and pay for speeding tickets there, or whatever tickets. I was going to pay a fine, and when I got there, I found somebody who used to own a fleet of buses, who was a friend of my brother's, and he was asking, why are you here? And I told him, well, I came to pay a fine. Why did you come to pay a fine? I said, because I want to pay a fine. And he said, oh, just give me your slip. And he took my slip. And before I knew it, he came back and told me, don't worry, go away. And I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed because I had gone all that way to pay my fine. But he went and fixed it. And I was like, I would have fixed it on the roadside. And I mean, it was very inconveniencing for me. And I can, the quick thing would have been to give those people 100, I think it used to be 100 Kenya shillings, really, and forget about it. So I have no answers, Ross. I have no. And Margaret, going to your question, again, it's looking at the root cause of, I know, for example, here we've got really small groups of people. When we see something is becoming endemic and it's becoming a problem, we've got people who are, there are people you can go to. Like I got a mentor at one point because I felt I needed a mentor. And this mentor is somebody who is just like a sounding board. They will not tell you what to do to make it right, but they will work with you. You actually start coming with the answers. You have sessions with this person, and by that person I had a mentor called Margaret, and by throwing questions at me, you start seeing, well, this is how I need to work this out. This is how I need to work this. You start coming up with the solutions yourselves. But like I said, there's no quick fix. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Thank you for those insights. Thank you.
Rose, remember I said
it does. Thank you, be there.
It really provokes us and just makes us think in other ways. And I think that's what Dr. Mutuga is actually doing today.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also going to throw in last today. With this COVID since last year, we have seen e-market trade platforms popping up everywhere. Commonwealth Business Women Network Kenya is not the only one that's developed e-marketplace. They are popping up because we have to trade now virtually, okay? But even in business school, the discussion of trust is major. What you order online, what you pay for online, and what you receive are two different things. What is advertised in terms of maybe quality, quantity, consistency, when it arrives, it's a totally different product. So we are finding it also a challenge with now that we are all on the e-market platforms, virtual trade forums, to tackle this issue of trust. And we really have to take it upon ourselves as business owners to know that we have to develop integrity, trust, honesty. These are values that have to be who we are as a people first. Because once, that's who we are as a people, that will translate into our services, into our goods, into our businesses. Just also throwing it out there because this is a business women's forum.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that trust is a big thing, and we just have to set ourselves apart by developing what Dr. Mutunga is talking about today: honesty, integrity, trust.
And even as a non-business, I'm not like a business person, but as a consumer, one thing I know is that if I order something from somebody and it comes back substandard, I'm not going to come back. So if you want sustainable business, you've got to be trustworthy. If you are trusted by your customers, you know what? They'll keep coming back, and they would rather even pay more money because they trust on what you are giving them. That's what I do as a shopper. If I buy something from somewhere and it's not right, I'm not going to go back. But if you want to build a clientele who will keep coming back and keep coming back over and over again, it may start small and you may not have big margins, but you actually build it that way. And I mean, other business people here can comment, but that, to me as a consumer, I'll keep going back to somebody I can trust.
Very, very true. Thank you so much, Dr. Mpithe, for that. And I can see Patricia also agreeing it was an excellent presentation. And she says that integrity and honesty is a must, irrespective of the conflicting forces around us. Goes back to the question on the comment on the environment that we're in. Let me also appreciate some of our participants on Facebook. They've been very, very interactive, and they also echo the same things that you've been talking about. And there's actually a very interesting comment.
Susan, have you seen comments on Facebook?
Yes, I have. There's one very interesting one from Omwa, who said that I once picked a lot of money in a wallet and returned it to the owner, and some of my friends said I was a fool to return it. So he was being practicing integrity, but that wasn't very, very popular with his people. Very interesting.
I think a few people have I don't know, we were talking about that the other day, but you know how great it is it frees you as well. If you actually picked a wallet with money and you return it, you are not a prisoner, because if you lie and you keep that money, it's inside. What do you feel? I think people forget about the freedom which comes from inside, not just from outside. You may have money, but you're actually a prisoner of your lies. And that's what I think, yeah.
Yeah, very, very good. So we definitely commend him for doing that. Quite commendable.
Thank you.
So before, because I can see we don't have any more questions at the moment. So let me just yes.
This hotel as you enter Nakuru, on your right hand side, Nakuru Highway. I don't know, does anybody know this nice hotel on the right hand side as you enter Nakuru before you reach the main town?
STEM Hotel. STEM.
STEM.
No.
Anyway, I'll remember the name. Now that we are mentioning integrity, I stayed there once, transit for a night, and I forgot my beautiful jacket there. Imagine after 3 days, I received an email telling me that the cleaner had found my jacket in the room, and it was in the manager's office. I should let them know whether they wanted me to send it to Nairobi, wanted them to send it to Nairobi, or I would pick it the next time I'm in Nakuru.
Mhm.
And imagine my shock. And I told them I'd pick it the next time I'm in Nakuru. And for sure, it was wrapped in a nice paper waiting for me like 3 weeks later. I had to ask which worker picked my jacket and actually brought it. But it was such a beautiful relief that, oh my gosh, there's still hope in this world. There are still good people.
They really are. I remember long. I think it was '96. I was in Kenya, and that time there was a lot of carjackings in Kenya. People used to really be stopped on roundabouts, and cars would be stolen or whatever. Anyway, that's what we used to be told. And I'd gone from UK to there for a month or two. I can't remember. Anyway, I was driving. Somebody we'd lost a relative, and the funeral, those days people used to go funeral meetings in places, and it was somewhere in Eastlands, and I'd gone to a meeting there. And then it got to 9 p.m. and I was like, how am I going to get home? I was staying with some friends in Westlands, and one of my brothers said, oh, don't worry, I'll come with you, I'll follow you up. And once we pass Horo Highway, you should be fine. Once you get to Horo Highway around university there, you should be fine. And then you can go home. And I said, okay, that's fine. Got to, it used to be called GPO roundabout there. And so I waved him off. I'm thinking, oh, I'm fine now. But it was pouring, it was raining, and it was like 10 p.m. by this time. And I'm driving really fast. And I arrived at the museum roundabout and just hit a pool of water on the road, and the car stopped. The engine stopped, and to cut a long story short, was like, okay, so I thought I was in danger that side, but I'm actually more in danger this side. And I stopped on this road, and the car wouldn't start, and I'm panicking, and I'm thinking I'm just going to probably be stolen with my car or whatever. And then these two people come, and they stopped, and they said, two men, and they came out. They didn't come out, they wrote down the window, what's up, Mama Nini? So I explained to them, and they said, okay, don't worry, just stay in that car, don't keep starting, just give it time, and we'll stay here with you. And they sat in their car, and they waited until eventually my car started, and they told me, we'll follow you and make sure that until you branch off from Wayaki Way, and you're on your way home and you are safe. And that's what they did. And you know what? There are good people out there. And not everybody out on the roads is a bad person.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I wish
So
you could tag
I've
such people.
remembered the name of the hotel that I have to really mention them by name. It's called Sarova Woodlands Hotel and Spa, Nakuru. Awesome
Oh,
people.
wow. Awesome. I wish we could tag them here
Yes.
for the integrity.
Yeah.
So,
It's amazing. It's good to see that, we still have good people out there.
Yeah.
So let me just do a quick reminder of some of the programs and events that we have coming up next week. As we can see, we don't have any questions at the moment. In case we do, I will just go through them. So allow me to share this really quickly. Right, there we go. So next week on Wednesday at the same time from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., this is going to be our discussion on go-to-markets. And we invite you to join in. It's going to be led by Robert Karaoke, who is the Executive Director and founder of Business Edge Consulting and Strategy. So we need to know about having a proper go-to-market strategy, a proper one, what is contained in the same. Secondly, let me just also remind you about our film night, which is going to be there next week on Wednesday at 5 p.m. And this is the reference documentary called The 600 The Soldiers Story, a powerful one about what happened in Rwanda. This is an army that came up and actually helped and really contributed to the end of the genocide in 1994. And as you all know, that was 27 years ago. This is also a reminder of the Commonwealth Women's Entrepreneurship Summit 21 that our chairperson just mentioned during her introduction. Please invite all the women that you know, all the girls in your networks, ask them to join in, and I'll be giving information on joining the same. Not forgetting the Tech for Girls. If you know any girls between 12 to 16 years, they are more than welcome to join in. And I can see the registration deadline is actually today. So make sure you invite them and encourage them to apply for the same. This is also going to be very, very powerful. Know more about that, follow us on Twitter, CBW Kenya, Commonwealth Businesswomen Kenya on Facebook, and send us an email, info@cbwkenya.org, or visit our website, www.cbwnkenya.org. I hope that you'll be able to join in and invite people. Yes, so we are coming to the end of our session. I don't know if there are any last comments, any last questions before I give the closing remarks. Any comments, Rose? No?
My comment, Susan,
Mm-hmm.
my comment, Susan, is to encourage all the young ladies out there that do not dim your light to please other people. We have been told, just advise them to wear shades if they feel you are too bright.
Yeah.
Now, you can take that to the bank.
Thank you so much for that, Nana. Rose, any last comments?
I think I really liked this, that we let men talk for us, even when we can. And it happens, and I'll put that in quotes, very naturally. That in a group, even in meetings, even in the domestic front, it's something that we do almost naturally. So when we can talk, when we have our stuff, let's just be confident about it. And that's what I would say to other women, either in this forum or listening out there who will catch up with us. When you have it, speak it up. Don't hold back.
Right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Susan. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Rose, for that, for those comments. And yeah, all good things come to an end. I know we're having a good time enjoying this session today, but yes, we have to come to the end of the same. And we are very, very thankful to our guest presenter this afternoon, Dr. Patricia Mbithe Mutunga. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you for taking the time to actually prepare and also to be here present with us, and for everything that we have learned today, the reminders on integrity and honesty. Thank you so much for that. We also thank you all our participants on Facebook, on Zoom, and another big thank you to our chairperson, Nana Wanjao, who is always present at every session, every Wednesday. Yeah, we're having a good time, and we always do. And also to Rose, Ginger, thank you for always being here and also ensuring that these webinars take place every week on time, and all our presenters are very, very happy to be here. Thank you so much for that. And as we wrap up, let me just mention a few of my take homes. I love the fact that as you started with a question on what exactly is integrity and what is honesty, why are they important? And you also mentioned some of the factors that influence the same. And actually for me, I loved when you talked about self-perception, where honesty and integrity is concerned, how we see ourselves and the impact of the same. And it kind of took me back to one of the quotes that I read, as you said, you know, most of us usually go to Google, look for the definitions of integrity. What are the major quotes on the same? And there's one that I read by John D. MacDonald, which says, integrity is not a conditional word. It doesn't blow in the wind or change with the weather. It is your inner image of yourself. And if you look in there and see a man who won't cheat, then you know he never will. So as I was listening to you, I was thinking of the same. And now a big thank you to Omwa, who we've seen how he practices integrity. Very, very commendable. So thank you. That was a very, very powerful and impactful session. So thank you everyone for joining in. Let's continue to stay safe, wash your hands, sanitize, keep social distance, wear those masks, get vaccinated if need be. And I hope to see you all next Wednesday at the same time as we do this, and also for all the other events that we're going to be having. So bye everyone, and have a very, very beautiful day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.